Good afternoon. Welcome to OptionsTender. It's Monday, November 10th, 2025. What a day. Price is still grinding, pushing up from Friday's low. The bounce off of the 50-day moving average is clearly a temporary reversal. And the big question is, are we going to new highs? Or are we just retracing a dead cat bounce going lower? And so I'll give you what I think is either one of those situations. And once again, I completely grateful that we constantly, and we talk about it in the Discord over and over, hedge. If you have calls out there, you think you're going to all-time highs, get some put hedges when there's a possibility that there may be a reversal or so, and likewise on the other side. Okay, so right now we're doing this intraday about 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to get these videos intraday, consider becoming a YouTube supporter. It's 99 cents, and it comes with the Discord. Comes with that Cheddar data in there, and the Cheddar flow. In the Discord, that it has the options flow and the dark pools as well. So that's all included with it. I think it's like $50 a month if you get the website on its own. So good deal, huh? That's what happens when you have masses come together, and we can all help each other. We have a great Discord there with wonderful traders. So consider joining us there. So let's jump into it. We're going to look at SPX on the daily and the 65 along with SPY and VIX, and keep it as... No, I'm not going to keep it as simple as that, because we're going to go on the 65. We don't have very good breadth, okay? There's over 50% of stocks in the S&P 500 are underneath their 50 and their 100 moving averages. So somebody in the Discord, thank you for asking the hard question, says, well, isn't that just enough fuel to say that the market can go much higher? Sure, absolutely. As of right now, though, just know, just like if SPX was underneath the 50-day moving average, it's going to act as resistance, okay? So it's just it's a negative situation with breadth that's bad. And the big names, big tech names, are really holding this thing up, and almost all of it from NVIDIA itself. So, all right, because it's 9% of the S&P, insane amount. So here we go. We have I want to leave this on here because later on we're going to go through these. And I want to show you trend. More volume is going into falling stocks than it is to rising. So that's interesting. Breadth indicator here, not great. It's positive, but not great. Again, that's just all telling us, the same old thing. Okay, so we have our naked chart here. We came into this volume. So we have a volume node and price held onto there. That happens to be where the 50-day moving average, we'll show you in just a second. Now, I think this low is going to be taken out. I do think that it's possible that this top is in, and well, let me just show you. We're going to respect the weekly chart. We had a reversal candle. We confirmed the reversal, and we're just riding up in here. Do we get a inside week this week? Sure, that's possible. We do have some cycle lows starting this at the end of the week. So I'm guessing that it's not the same situation, that we'd be inside week and then have our move. And look at that one. Look at these inside weeks. Let's see if the same thing happens. Inside week, higher. Inside week, higher. Inside week. If we do get above this candle, then we're going to be talking about new highs and continuing on. With that said, if you are a bull, then the correction's over, right? And this, I guess, is a 1-2 setup, and maybe you get wave 3, 4, 5 to continue on with this entire move here that really hasn't corrected yet and has not lost a daily cycle low, not one time yet. So we'll see. We are certainly in an equilibrium. We're right in the middle of this this move that we had here. And let's go ahead with our trend. We're getting back above. Now, it's still red because there's, the week before was lower than the previous week, and that's where we got our reversal candle, and then the week lower. So this is kind of a, cautionary thing. Of course, it turned red here, but still went higher. So we don't know if that's going to continue to play out. We have this negative divergence here that on the Smart MACD, I do think this is going to play out, but obviously, is it going to yet? Is the question. Here's your moving averages. We're back above that 8 and the 20. Now we're 1 day above it. We have to see some follow through. Now, are we going to get just gaps and gaps and gaps and continue to go to new highs? I guess anything's possible. That's not a typical situation. So I would imagine maybe we get a turnaround Tuesday, a gap down or something, and I'll show you on the lower time frame. And then we could see a setup. And then we can add some more call hedges on my part. But for you, if I would happen to be trading bullish, I think I would add on some put protection right here. And just in case we pull back, and then you can add onto your calls, right? Okay, so let's put on the traditional look. All right, we have a possible wedge. You have that old trend line here, broke down from it. We just back testing and continue lower. Well, we got into this zone. We're back above it. All right, gapped up above it, and we're holding. So what I'm thinking, and still in this near term, is either we have a left shoulder, head, right shoulder that comes later. These are the two scenarios I'm looking at. So this breaks down and holds this low, and also back tests the breakout from 2008, and then this turquoise from 1929, and you get some sort of maybe neckline here. That's a possibility if this truly is an expanding move. And again, I'll show you more detail in a little bit. And you get this low here, and then you get a right shoulder, and then start moving lower. That's possible. Or this is the right shoulder, and we're just maybe our neckline is something like this. I don't know if that's the case right there, but wherever you want to draw that. So we'll see. 1-2 setup, or do we need one more leg down? Here's our McClellan oscillator. All right, we were in that, we had the positive divergence. It started to play out. I talked about this all on Thursday for a bounce. And what happened on Thursday, we had this red day here. We gapped down, and it seemed like a treacherous day in the market. People are laughing at me and saying, oh, you're going to bounce. Well, we are bouncing now. And obviously, I was a day early. And now we're starting to see this divergence play out. Do we continue to head lower at some point? We are still in this kind of bearish territory. Now, we didn't get a chance to do the McClellan summation index, so let's go ahead and add that on here. And that gives you a bigger look at market breadth with day-by-day information closes. And just as suspected, breadth is still heading lower, even though we're getting a bounce, yesterday or Friday with a reversal and a follow through today. So that's going to have to certainly turn up for anything to really be. And make sure you stick around today, because or fast forward. I don't care what you do, but make sure you look at these big tech stocks that I'm getting ready to show you. There's a reason why, and because if we're going to look at those, that's the whole point of if the big tech stock markets are the only thing holding this up and getting this bounce, then you want to look at those big names to see if they're in a position to possibly reverse. What else we have here? DMARC. Oh, I skipped the MACD. DMARC, we have 8. Ignore those arrows. Those are my arrows, not the indicator. So we're at a 1 so far. Nothing, no kind of setup. And then getting some sort of bounce here Like I said, we weren't oversold, and to me, that says there's potential to the downside. We had our bearish cross. Are we just back testing this leader line? That's what I think is happening, and we continue to head lower. We're getting buyers still. We're in bull territory, but we already had our sell signal. Now we need to listen to what price is going to tell us. And the slow stochastic is starting to rise. So either we're going to start heading lower and get a lower high and head lower, or like I said, if you're a bull, you want to see this continue to push the market up higher. Let's go to SPY. All right, SPY. So the real frustrating kind of thing when you're doing technical analysis is getting the trend, getting the channels correct. And this was really good. You had nice touches here, held on to it, and you made this slight new low. So all over X, you know, I just saw people just draw their channel wherever and just like whatever. I know that you have to change. I do know that you have to change your trend lines ever so often. But if this is it, then so be it. So then I was wrong. Here holding on, stick save, and that's the case. I mean, I could leave it the other way, and if you break down, and that's whipsaw and it whatever. All I'm saying is that once you just start moving them, then you have 2 touches, you have 3 now. So I guess this is a valid trend line at this point. But yeah, it certainly could have worked where this would continue to break down to this level. It did not, and so be it. All right. So here's our divergences look. Here's our money flow index that had the negative divergence, started to sell off. Is this going to cycle lower or get to new highs here? That's a big question. There's no setup from it though. Is there a setup here? We're back above that 20 moving average. We're pushing off of it. No setup off of here. We didn't even have a setup to the downside. We didn't have a buy signal from this setup here. Elliott, shelf, nothing to look at here. Let's go to VIX. All right, so the VIX is pushing lower. Are we going into these daily cycle lows into the end of November? That would be very bullish for the market. We'll have to see how that goes. Here's the moving averages. We're above that 50 still. That's going to be critical right here at the 17 line. You start to break down from this 50 again. I'm not so sure how bearish you can be at that point. But so far, it does appear that we had a high here, and we're just making some sort of higher low at this point. So there's the market doing its thing, still grinding to the upside. It does appear that we want to get at least to this 17, about 1750 or 1730 area, and that's the former breakout zone there. All right, so we may even have another day higher if this is going to reverse. Maybe we have a doji day tomorrow and we close the gap. All right, so let's go to SPY, then VIX, and then we'll go through those big tech names quickly. All right, on the 65, here's our look here. There's our former channel back up in it. Starting to close the gap here, and it would make a lot of sense if we close the gap at that 683. Once again, 683 is going to be an important area. Not only is it the gap close, it's the options expected move to the upside. I guess I need to go to 65. It's going to be the options expected move to the upside. Okay, and we're clearly not holding on to that trend. So is this a full-fledged breakout? Well, I mean, this is kind of straight up, so we'll see. So if we close this gap, then we get to the options expected move. We check mark this, not too many gaps open at once. We have another one open here, so we can add this in. Big gap. Boom. So there's that gap left open there. And then from our, so here's what we're looking at. This is clearly a bearish point of view. If you're bullish, you probably want to see some sort of move here wherever it ends. Maybe hold on to that gap again. We entered the gap a little bit, maybe even a little bit lower. Hold on to this channel, or maybe even directly with that level here at about 675 to 672-ish. You get a pullback. You want to see that hold, and then you can have a left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and you'll be looking at some sort of breakout to the upside if that continues to. But we have no positive structure here so far, just a complete squeeze. And if I use the retracement from top to bottom, clearly we're past the golden pocket. We also have that 786 that lines exactly up with that 683. So I certainly could see this closing going into tomorrow, and then we'll see what happens from there. You go to the lower time frames, and this is really the only blip we have here. So in my mind, I'm thinking this is an ABC zigzag, just a sharp zigzag higher. Okay. And then we'll see. So what I placed here in the yellow, if we're going to break down and hold this 650 area, or even these lows here around 653, if that's the case, then I think it's more this yellow 1, 2, 3 expanding move here, and this should be a sharp move to the downside either way. If this becomes bearish, or in the white, this is all one move, and you can call this a 1 or an A. It doesn't matter to me. That's gonna depend on what happens later on. Or this is a 1-2 setup. Okay. And there's your 1 and 2, and then you can start to measure out where wave 3 minimum range should go. So if we make it all the way up here to the 786, we're looking at a possible move down to our first target. All right. This would be more of the situation that I think is happening. And let me clear this up for later videos. We're looking at this 162% extension, and that gives us a clue that that this trend possibly is changing here. You get your wave 3, 4, and 5. And I do have a, so again, if we make our lows here, then I think we're get a 5, and then we get a big bounce. All right. And then you're just back testing whatever channel that you draw there. All right. And then if we continue lower past this area, it may be all the way to this target here to 634. Now we're looking at some sort of trend change. Okay. And that we're possibly going to end wave 3 somewhere around here, get a bounce, and continue to wave our second target here at wave 5. All right, then you get a significant bounce from there. So this would be our wave 1 after wave 5, and then you get a nice large bounce into wave 2 after some time. Okay. Some will argue that this is some sort of ABC into A, into a B, and then into a C, wherever it goes into. Now, going to our traditional looks here of our trend, it's back to the upside. You can see that above here. You got to that oversold territory in the MACD. Moving averages they got to be up, clearly up. Oh, we're fighting with that 50 right there. All right. All right, we're oversold at this point. We even have a negative divergence. Maybe this burns through and continues a little bit higher, but as of right now, maybe this gets burnt out. I do feel like we're getting into that gap area though, so I still feel like we close the gap. And then if we get up to that options expected move to the upper end, again, I don't think it's likely that by the end of the week we make it all the way down to this next side. So also, slow stoke, we'll be watching that to see if that crosses back over. And here is we had that buy signal here, and we're back up to that zero line. The zero line could easily play as resistance here, and we continue the flow to the downside. Now, if that happens, we'll have to see where we are when price is where it is. Either it tests back to the yellow line and continues to go higher. That would kind of match with getting a inverse head and shoulder and going higher, or it starts to cross. And if it starts to cross, we're probably seeing lower prices. And at that point, so in other words, we got to watch price action. And at that point, are we getting positive divergence? What's happening? We have to really figure out what's happening when you get down to lower areas, especially these lows, 653 to 650, because if we're diverging, again, it's probably just this wedge that's filling out. And that's, again, you can draw this. I talked about this in the last video, and this doesn't have to, we have a downtrend, but if this wave is done, then this means nothing. This is broken. It's already, it's already expanded. It's already gone up. And we'll put our downtrend, we'll start our downtrend as soon as wave 2 or B ends. Okay? That's all we can do at this point. Really, we should be just looking at this. If this move is done, you just had a wedge form down there, and you broke out from the wedge and you're going higher. And then we'll look for, again, some sort of move to the downside, whether that's coming back to the gap, holding and going higher. I took off some hedges that we had today. I lightened up on some hedges again because we should get some sort of counter move. And then at that point, our puts are going to start to work, right? Now you add your calls back in. All right, so that's how we're going to work this. Here's our, we did that demarc. Getting a setup here. We're getting real close. So 2 more bars and we should see a 9 count. Let's see if that 9 count is up here at the close. Otherwise, no setup just yet, but coming up soon. Bollinger Band. Do we make it up to the top of the Bollinger Band? That was a nice buy there. If you bought there, great. You had that buy signal. Once again, oversold. Boom. And now let's see what happens with the upper edge of this band. The oscillator back in the green. Is that just a whipsaw and we head back in here? Now this will be something else that we'll be looking at. If we do make new lows, we'll be looking to see if we do have positive divergence. All right. Now let's run through some of these big names quickly. Here's the Mag 7. Here's the ETF for the Magnificent 7. Here's what we're paying attention to. We possibly have, a top in. And 2 ways again. This could be a 1-2, 1-2 setup, or this is again an A, where you get that ABC for a larger A, a B, and then lower prices to a C. We're at the 50. We're at the golden pocket right now. Apple. Apple looks like it's already turning around a little bit, but initial move down, flat pattern. Boom, into the 65, the 62.8%, the golden pocket. Tesla. Possible this is my bearish count with the 5-wave move up here to get just a double top here, brand new high. And we're starting our descent. We're back testing up here and into, I don't think I actually checked this. So what I think that would have to be a 1-2, 1-2 setup. So let's start from this high right here. Yep. So if we go a little bit higher, Tesla could go into the golden pocket. Just a little bit higher. It's holding that 50%. That seems like the likely situation. And more of a back test of that line, that pivot. I'll call it a pivot. That's not a true trend line. And then lower. Amazon. 1-2 setup. It's a bear setup. Now Meta clearly has gone a long way down. Okay. Now, a couple ways you could look at it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's done, and it retraces, probably closes the gap. That would be really bullish for the market to help it to the upside. And if this is a 1, 2, 1, 2, then you're working out wave 3, and you probably get a real shallow wave 4, 5, 4, 5, and you don't have much room to go. You probably fill this gap lower down here and get down to this 555 area. Not a large move left. If it's going to go lower, I think this one led, and it's probably going to lead up to the upside when it's time to bounce for a higher bounce. NVIDIA. Kids are home. NVIDIA still has some room left here for, now again, this could be a 1, 2, 1, 2. We have it. We have the retracements at this point. We can move it up a little bit higher for a little bit more room to go. So the first one, if it gets up to this 198, 200 area, that's where a lot of dark pool and a lot of options flow was. So that's likely you're almost there. Again, with an A, B, C pattern that looks just like the market, we'd look for a turnaround there, but it has a little bit more room to go. So that gap fill on SPY looks like the most obvious area at this point. Now, Google's a little bit different. Google has one last move up here. So it looks like it's a 1, 2. You get that nice flat pattern here. 3, and then another flat pattern for 4. And then 5 needs to make a new high here. So if that's the case, it could make a lower high. But if we want to keep pushing and close that gap, you got a little bit of room left to go. We'll probably end up with that tomorrow. I guess we could have it today with the power hour. All right, on Microsoft, we didn't quite make a new low yet. My guess is that we're going to make a new low, and that this is some sort of larger flat pattern. We break the lows, and then when it's time to bounce, this will help the market bounce up. So we could be, if this is the wave 1, 2, we could be into wave 4 right here. So wave 3, and then now we're pulling back for wave 4. Could go up higher, but this also could end up here at the 23.6 since all these moves are so sharp, right? And so it had this big move for wave 4 and start going lower. And that's what I got for you guys. Okay, that's the reason why I did that. And here's, just to give an example, SMH. Here's SMH as well. If this is all one big move and it's done, we're back in that golden pocket again. So you do have a little bit of room to go. Could go up to this 360. But again, the clue here for me is that almost all of these are done. They have a little bit of work to do on the upside. Google has a little left. NVIDIA has a little left. Not necessarily Microsoft, not necessarily Meta. They're already at those targets. Amazon. So pretty much those two. That might happen today. That might happen tomorrow. But if those can't continue to push higher, then you need the broader market to start helping things. And you don't have that. Give you a little bonus. And you don't have that from the financials. The financials are pretty much done here. You got your double top. You made a new high. You have supply up here. We were looking for this to be a corrective move, and it certainly did. So you have JPM that made that new high, possibly complete. If not, it should pull back for a wave 2 and then go higher. Right now, we have a wave 5 complete. And then if you get a 2 and then continue higher, that's a whole nother ball game there. All right. Goldman Sachs, could it get our last move? Goldman Sachs looks like it still could move higher. This does have a 1, 2, 3, and then possibly 4. See that 3-wave move in there? And it could move higher. It's not really like a huge market mover, but it does influence the Dow. And so the Dow could be one of those things that helps the market stay up. But we had a nice trade on Lulu's. A couple people did. I got out of it with slight profit. not great. Also, we just did a video on the cannabis market. So make sure you check that out. I'll tag that video up. That was for members. So please check it out and join us in the Discord. Consider becoming a member, and we'll see you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next video.